All right, let's move now to some earnings that we got out earlier this morning. Let's start with results out of Home Depot. We see revenues here coming in a little bit better than expected, adjusted earnings per share coming in a little bit better than expected. But on the comp sales line, Home Depot coming in lighter than the street was looking for. Brian Sozzi, you've been looking through this report. What stands out to you in Home Depot's latest quarter?
Not a surprising market reaction, not a surprise to see some of these fundamentals in the quarter. If you were not living under a rock the past month, you saw results from a Sherwin-Williams, a Stanley Black & Decker. I call them squishy. They were a little bit below, I think, some street estimates. You saw United Wholesale Mortgage out there yesterday. Disappointing quarter, disappointing guidance. The housing dynamics are starting to slow down after a year of a lot of strength. And really some three areas of concern inside of Home Depot's results here, guys. First up, the U.S. same-store sales result, 3.4% increase. Street was looking for a 4.9% increase. Gross profit margins down 77 basis points versus last year. Looks like Home Depot was hit by supply chain inflation there as well. And then customer transactions down 5.8% year over year. Guess what they did in the first quarter? They were up 19.3%. So you're seeing that sequential slowdown. One, because consumers spent a lot last year, and two, Home Depot's going up against some very, very large numbers. I tweeted out this morning, looking at Home Depot's same-store sales over the past 7 quarters. They have 2 more quarters, guys, where they're going to be cycling 20% plus same-store sales gains. So you could see a further slowdown in Home Depot's results in the third quarter as it cycles those results.
Something else to note, the average purchase price, I don't think you mentioned, was up by 11%, Brian. And, as we see perhaps the number of transactions go down, a couple of things to watch. First of all is, are prices going up? We know that lumber prices have started to moderate, but are other prices continuing to go higher? And not only that, are we transitioning from more DIY projects to remodeler projects, professional remodelers? What is that going to do to Home Depot's numbers? That might have also led to an increase in average ticket, for example, as well. Are people buying more at once and more expensive if they are professional buyers versus individual buyers? So those will be things to watch for Home Depot also.
Yeah, as you return to the office, you don't have time to go putz around the yard, when you're in a meeting.
Go out and buy
whatever
40 new plants, some bags of concrete, and some lumber. Also, too, listen, keep in mind, lumber price inflation, some inflationary categories for Home Depot in the quarter, that reversed in the second quarter compared to the first quarter, and certainly that showed up in this quarter.
Yeah. Look, I was at Home Depot a lot less in Q2 than I was in Q1. So there you go. That was really the tell, Sozzi. You're going through Black & Decker.
The Udland indicator.
It was really Myles Udland.
What I was doing. I would have let you know Home Depot was going to come in a little soft on the same.
Thanks for the guidance. Appreciate it, bro.
There you go. That's why you watch us. All right, let's turn our attention now to Walmart's latest quarter. Company out with its latest results. We see here a beat on the top line and a beat on the bottom line. But as we kind of teed this up heading into the quarter from Walmart and from Home Depot, and we'll get more color on this from Target and TJ Maxx really later in the week in terms of what the back to school season looks like, what the Delta variant impact might be as well. Something certainly stood out to me, Brian Sozzi, in this earnings release, in the earnings presentation. Comp sales better than expected, reflecting strong underlying business trends and a robust U.S. economy and stimulus spending. They go through a couple other items there, but the Walmart economy, the Walmart indicator, let's say, on the U.S. economy, essentially says there is no problem right now with their customer base, the confidence, the health of their consumer base.
Well, let me just start with the stock price reaction. And you are right, Myles. We definitely teed this up yesterday. The stock had run up about 7% into the company's earnings report. There were some really high expectations on this quarter, most notably around the U.S. business. Whisper numbers were for about a same-store sales increase in the key U.S. business of 6%. Walmart came in at 5.2%. Overall, good quarter, but I think the street wanted to see just a little bit more. Next up, on the third quarter guidance, 130 to 140 a share. Consensus was at about 131. Again, we're nitpicking here, but I think the street would have liked to see a little bit more from Walmart in the terms of the third quarter guidance. So they did come out pretty aggressively for the full year. And last but not least, e-commerce sales in the U.S., 6% growth. So you're seeing another retailer come out here and say, we are seeing some slowing growth. Myles, to your point on the health of their business, I caught up with Walmart CFO Brett Biggs this morning ahead of the show. He's telling me that the back-to-school shopping season has started strong. And there's Brett Biggs right there. Back to school off to a strong start for Walmart. A lot of folks, he said, out there buying school supplies. That is good to see. I also asked Biggs about if he has seen any change in shopper behavior because of the Delta variant. He has not seen that. He did acknowledge there are more people wearing masks inside the stores, but in terms of changing their shopping behaviors, whether they're buying more or buying less, he's telling me that they didn't see any big changes quarter over quarter.
Which is interesting. And if you look at some of the color from the company's presentation, in contrast to that retail sales data from the macro basis, they said there was strength in apparel and travel related categories as customers increased socialization. So that was working for Walmart seemingly as well. And the company also talking about strength in grocery. Of course, Walmart, because of its size, because of what it sells, really is a snapshot of what we're experiencing and the change year over year. For example, people were stocking up last year. They may not have been going to the stores as frequently, but they were buying a lot of stuff at once. So that moderated, average ticket moderating at Walmart for that reason. And then that e-commerce number, just to talk about that a little bit more, guys. So that 6% increase, it was definitely a slowdown. But it was better than some analysts had anticipated. Jefferies' Stephanie Wissink, for example, had said that this beat her estimates. What's also interesting is how important it was to the overall. So that e-commerce contribution to the overall comparable sales gain in the U.S. was only 0.2% of that overall gain. It was 6% a year ago. So again, just sort of this is a little slice of what we are seeing writ large in this economy. And something else that's interesting as we look, again, as the microcosm, a very large microcosm of Walmart, is the effect of the stimulus checks, which still seemed to be benefiting Walmart. And then some analysts like Oliver Chen over at Cowen are saying, well, we could now see a transition from the stimulus checks to the beginning of the rollout of child tax credits, which could potentially benefit a Walmart more than other retailers, for example. So that's something to now keep an eye on in the forward quarters as we hear from the retailers.
Yeah, no, good point, Julie, and also something to pay attention to when Target reports tomorrow. A few more nuggets here. One, we were just talking about Home Depot's transactions declining 5.8%. For Walmart U.S., they were up 6.1%. Just a little nugget worth mentioning. And I would be surprised to not see the analyst community come out here very soon and defend this quarter from Walmart, especially off of this weakness. I mean, you look at this U.S. business, profit margins up 20 basis points, gross profit margins. July was the strongest month of the quarter. Big's telling us they have seen momentum into the third quarter. As long as that U.S. business is accelerating and trending in the right direction, traditionally Walmart stock has done pretty well. And their guidance for the full year, they lifted it $6.20 to $6.35 a share. The street was only at $6.02. So that tells me Walmart's looking for a good back-to-school shopping season into September, into October, but also has now planted a flag that their holiday season might be pretty good as well.
One thing I would say to that, though, Sozzi, is stock's basically at a record high. And you all those drivers that benefited Walmart, stimulus, the shift to online shopping, buy online, pick up in store, all those drivers have been known. They're all part of the Walmart story. So what's the next leg? And to see the street with a muted reaction to the company raising its earnings per share. And of course, Walmart is the size of a business that, it's a mature business, right? So it fits the profile that we discussed for the overall market, which is we've seen the multiple on the S&P 500 come down. And so if you see investors essentially saying, I'm all set with paying, I think right now Walmart's trading 35 times-ish trailing 12 months earnings. I'm all good on that. I don't know if I need to add a couple more turns and we're really maybe taking some off the multiple here on Walmart. So again, it's been a great run for Doug McMillon and the team, but with the stock at a record high, that story becomes a little more difficult perhaps.
No, you're right on the mark, Myles, and I'll just quickly add too, that's going to be the problem with a lot of retail trades that worked well last year during the stock up boom. Comparisons for the third quarter, fourth quarter are still pretty tough, sales, margins. So if the stock's not going to move, if you're a Walmart saying back to school as well, you lift your guidance, where's the next catalyst? And I think a lot of folks might just say, well, the next catalyst could be lower. COVID Delta variant impacts retail sales into September. where is that upside catalyst for some of these retailers? I'm not quite sure that is apparent just yet.
Yeah. I mean, 150 some odd today, right around 150. Stock traded in the 50s per share about 6 years ago. So you got a triple in 6 years there. I think you're not really buying. You think you take that and run if you're buying Walmart. So it's not Nvidia, right? It's not Lordstown or whatever.